Please like, comment, and subscribe.
When we want to nurture life, when we want to nurture other people, how do we do it? It's such an important part of service. I talk a lot about spiritual service and what it actually is because traditionally there are so many myths, so many religious layers of self-annihilation, self-suppression, everything that's negative. And it's a way to prove your worthiness and all that. And it takes time to peel all of that away and start relating to what service actually is about. When you nurture, it's also active. What we need to realize, and what we will realize over time, is that every type of spiritual state is extremely active, but in a different way from survival, because the survival activity is, of course, dominated by needs, narratives, power games and greed and all these hierarchical plays that we take part in. And therefore we imagine that a spiritual state is none of that. And because everything humans do are driven by hierarchy, once you take away all that, there aren't anything to do left. Just think about it. All the intentions humans have behind their actions and expressions are, self-serving in some way. So once you move into spiritual studies, it's very difficult to imagine what could I possibly do that does not come from the ego, because everything is self-serving. So you can imagine that it's, oh, okay, I don't do anything. I will just sit there and be, And yes, in spiritual traditions, of course, one will emphasize just being instead of doing. And you have this, oh, you're a spiritual being, you're not a spiritual doing, but you are a spiritual doing. You're not just doing it, That's the thing. We have to learn to do spiritually. But in that movement away from self-serving, self-centered survival, we recognize that everything we ever do is about that, so pull the plug. And that has to be spiritual, right? Because it's the opposite. But it's just a different state. It's self-serving disconnectedness. Because what is the point of it? It's for you to escape your pain and suffering. It's for you to move into a state of consciousness that you imagine is very spiritual and very important. Of course, that's hierarchical. And of course, it's power. It's about you controlling yourself, controlling life, and getting away from everything you don't like. It's just the flip side of the coin. It's not spiritual. So, when being comes from survival-based doing, the being will then be an extension and the flip side of the survival doing. And that is, of course, why it doesn't work. So, we have to go beyond that. And we have to learn that doing is also spiritual. Everything is spiritual. There is no such thing as something not being spiritual, because there is only one reality. And it's how we relate to it in this enormous spectrum of different states of consciousness and expressions and in and out, giving and receiving. No matter what we call it, it's still the same reality. But we filter and we create experience and we block ourselves, you know, that's a whole different thing. So we can do spiritually.